That's what I'm talking about, talking about, talking about.
And welcome to Talking About. I'm JC Alvarez.
I am still Cara Kilduff.
That's my line.
I know, I took it.
She took it. You know how big a fanboy I am of, like, you know, all things comic booky and all that stuff, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm really happy that we can make an announcement to anyone in our audience who is as big a fanboy as I am. But the classic television show, The Flash, which stars John Wesley Shipp, it's just been announced that he's going to be a part of the new show.
Very cool.
This means a lot to nerd people like me.
To nerd people.
So that's really, really great. We're so excited that John's going to be joining the cast of the new show. Hopefully it'll get picked up. It starts Grant Gustin in the role that he began. Like he played Barry Allen, the Flash, in the original.
So who's he going to play?
We don't know. We don't know yet. But the fact that he's on is fantastic. He could be a villain. He could be a good guy.
I like it when they do stuff like that with shows.
I know, right?
When they take somebody, yeah.
It's so cool. It's so
Yeah.
cool. So if you're as big a geek as I am about this stuff, then this means something to you. If you're like this, it doesn't mean it. So that's great. So I'm sure that everyone's gonna be very excited about The Flash when it comes to the CW.
You're going to get hurt on the way home, that's all I'm going to say.
I am, but I'm gonna be running as fast as The Flash. That's for sure.
It's such a
That's
nut.
for sure. I'm JC Alvarez. You're watching Talking About.
I'm Cara Kilduff. Yeah.
Still?
Yeah.
Still?
Haven't changed in the
Not
2
in
minutes
the
that
last,
we've been
in the
talking.
last 2 minutes that we've been talking.
No.
Well, we're very lucky, you know, and we say all the time that we were fortunate that the guests that we have on our show are a lot of amazing people within our community, a lot of talented
Yes.
individuals that
How
often,
lucky are we?
well, unsung heroes sometimes, you know, people who like are really making incredible contributions with their talent. A dear friend of mine who I've known for, oh my God, more than a decade.
Sorry. So sorry.
Alberto Ferreras, who is a writer, director, and a producer. Thank you so much for joining us.
Let's tell the truth. It was supposed to be Alec Baldwin, but at the last minute Alex said no. And hey, what are you doing?
Thank you so much for coming down at such a last minute. You know, definitely.
I'm kidding.
Alec
I'm
pulled
kidding.
me.
No, it was meant to be. It was meant
Yes,
to be.
of course,
all along,
absolutely.
all along.
You know, you have such an amazing resume as a writer, director, and a producer. So many things that you've been responsible. A lot of that has also brought a lot of attention to the Latino community, because there've been a lot of projects that have really, you know, talked about our Latin experiences.
Yes.
Yes, she plays a Latin on stage sometimes.
You do. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, light-skinned Puertorriqueña.
So you certainly look Puerto Rican to me.
But I mean, it's like, you know, give me a little bit of background about like when you started pursuing this career of yours in this creative ventures of yours.
Well, you probably can't tell by my accent, but I learned English late in life. Actually, I moved to New York in 1990, and in those days there were. I think, you know, the Latino community is trying to become a community. We're still struggling. You know, we're trying to, like, you know,
Find
overcome
our identity.
differences and
Yeah,
find our
yeah,
identity.
yeah.
And I thought that there was a great opportunity there to kind of like put a mirror to the Latinos in the U.S. Because very often what happens is that we, especially in the U.S., Latinos watch on television shows that come from Latin America that don't reflect our reality here. So I wanted to do that, and you know, I was given the chance to produce a show of testimonies of Latinos, Latino stories. It's like storytelling, basically. It's called,
Well, it's, you know, if we can talk a bit about that show, that show is actually called Habla, aired on HBO Latino 10 years ago.
We started doing it 10 years ago, and it's very simple because it's just like letting the camera roll and letting people talk to the camera and
I
be
love
themselves.
shows like that. That's so interesting.
No, it's because honestly, I mean, there's so many things that we kind of like take for granted, and the show is just anyway.
Well, it's just in the fact that first of all, I mean, one of the things that I learned from you that you always kind of like always would bring to my attention is just how diverse Latino cultures are, like how diverse we are, especially like if we're born here in the States as opposed to, like, you know, coming in. You know, we a lot of us identify so much with our Latin culture, but we all identify so differently regardless of what country you know, we originate from. And I always thought that was one of the most fascinating things about that project for HBO Latino and working on that project, that it's
By the way, I don't know if you know, but JC actually was. a
yes,
guest
I was
in the
featured
show.
on
Yes.
on one of the seasons.
Definitely. And something beautiful we've always done. We've always had gay guests
Yeah.
and lesbian. I mean, in every special.
He's gay.
So they say.
Amazing. But it's one of the things that I think that is so incredible about a project like that, that it really it almost is like a blank canvas, and you're applying all these colors, and you can't the image is always going to be different, and it's still going to speak to us as a Latino culture. What do you think is the state of, because now when you really look at the Latinos in media, I mean, we're like everywhere. How do you think it's changed so much, especially in 10 years?
It is. I do have to say something, because I think it's really important. Even though we keep, because this is almost like an emergency that we're having. So it's good news for all of us who are getting older. There's a lot of Latino talent, and yet because there's been such a lack of opportunity in show business, with the increasing presence of Latinos in the media, there's a desperate need for actors of a certain age who are Latino, because people couldn't make a living as actors. So it happens. Besides what I do, for HBO, I work in advertising, and very often for instance, trying to find a Latino grandfather who is not union.
We're trying to look for a Latino
impossible.
grandfather.
Yes.
Okay.
So I just want to put it out there that if you gave up acting a long time ago and you're Latino, this is the moment to go back.
And a
to
grandfather, preferably.
Seriously. Yeah. It is amazing how desperately we need talented people who go to auditions, because now we're starting to see a need for this, because for many years, again, there were no juicy parts for Latinos, and it was always the same person getting the same role over and over and over. So
That's interesting, because I need to pass that along to a friend of mine, what you said about.
the acting, I mean, I directed a campaign last week, and I was literally calling people. It's like, hey, can you act? Because we really need a Cuban-looking lady. Seriously, and especially in those, younger people, they're easier to find, and people, you're entering the business, you're willing to, starve for a couple of years, but a lot of talented people, they give up at some point. They say, it's been like 20 years, 30 years trying to survive as an actor. Oh, screw it. I'll never go back to an audition. And now we need them.
Are you I mean, I think she's a shining star and is so representative of and so funny. Sofia Vergara's character on Modern Family, which, I mean, a lot of us who have followed her career and know her from her early days as a model, and then what she did in her country. She's Mexican, correct? No.
Wow.
She's I'm sorry, I forget.
Colombian.
She's Colombian. I'm sorry. I don't know. I knew that. I knew that. She's Colombian, and Gloria, her character, is also Colombian on the show. But does because some people oftentimes think that her portrayal of Gloria on Modern Family is stereotypical or speaks to something that we're trying to break. And I celebrate her performance on that show.
Absolutely. Me too.
Yeah.
And I think, there I think what's I want to see is latitude.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think she's fantastic. I know people like that. We all laugh at it because we
We
can
relate to it. Yeah. And because she has nice chestises.
Absolutely.
Yeah. She's pretty.
Yeah. It's like, you can't really deny that. Something I think is also really interesting, and maybe it's a story that hasn't been told yet, but the gay Latino story is something that hasn't really been explored much in media. Do you think that there's still, because of the cultural sort of dichotomy of that hasn't been brought up?
I think so. I recently did an interview with for can I say the name
of the
show?
series?
Yes.
Yes, of course.
It's Habla. It's Habla, and it airs on HBO Latino. And every year we have a special. And in the new one, which I'm not sure if it's airing in April or September, we have Orlando Cruz, who is the boxing champion that came out of the closet. I think he's the only boxing champion who comes out of the closet while being champion, or some kind of like boxing miracle like that. And we also have a transgender guest, surprise
Right.
guest.
So it's definitely you're weaving the tapestry and telling those stories. But do you think that audiences are ready? Because there are very few. I mean, we've had directors here who Tarantino, who directed Elliot Loves, came to talk to us about telling that story and how it is a comedy and a romantic comedy, but all his characters, of course, Latino. Do you think that there's a market for that? Are we ready to tell more of those stories? Maybe see them on mainstream television.
Absolutely. Well, about 5 years ago, I was having dinner with an executive from Telemundo, and it was only 5 years ago, and I was telling him, you guys should have like a gay host. They have in Hispanic television talk shows and gossip shows, and exactly, thank you very much. I was thinking about you. And it was so funny because he told me adamantly, like, Latinos are not ready for that, which I hate when people say that. No.
Yeah,
Latinos they can't handle it. I'm like, what are we,
What does that mean?
Exactly.
That's kind of insulting.
Absolutely. So, like within 2 years, they already have, gays. So, I guess the world will change because it has to change. I have no idea what the hell's going on with Russia. I can tell you, I'm not watching the Olympic Games.
Me neither.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's been the consensus amongst the community. It's
Who
kind of
cares?
They have no snow. That's the other one. I don't know if you heard. There's going to be an accident. God forbid. It happens to
Oh God, no, I
but
hope not.
really, I mean,
Not to any of our competitors, I hope.
they have no snow,
Yeah,
so
they have no
they're
It's like 60
slushing.
degrees or something.
It's totally screwed up.
Oh well, Soshi, there you have it.
Oh,
Too
thought she was
bad.
so badass, huh, Sochi?
Well, it's like, and also recently, we were talking last month about the SNL decision to add someone of African descent to the cast because they needed to diversify.
Yeah.
What about bringing someone? I mean, is there a need to have like a Latino on that show? I mean, it's like I know Fred Armisen would probably like merit as being a Latino, but I mean at the same time, it's kind of like
It bothers me with these programs, with these shows that they have to be shamed into doing something to, it's like the way I grew up, I went to public school, blah 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 blah, and I saw everybody, all kinds of people, and like I went to college in an area where it was lily white, and it was weird for me. And so that just feels natural when you're watching TV to see everybody represented. Why does it have to be such a big deal? Like, why can't these TV executives get their thumbs out of their asses? And it pisses me off. No, it bugs me because I mean, in New York City, we're all shapes, sizes, colors, everything, and why is it so hard to represent that in the programs that we watch?
To that note, there are so many young, talented filmmakers, writers in this city, performers. In every aspect. I bet if you had any kind of advice to these young people, I mean, it's like we meet them all the time in our line of work. To really encourage them, what was something that you would tell a young person?
I think the most important thing is to deposit $200 in this checking account. I'm going to give you the number right now. I'm just kidding. No, I think that this is what I think. There's a lot of opportunities, and yet there's so much going on, and there's so much confusion, and there's so many different mediums. And I think that we were raised in a world where anyone who was interested, let's say, in the arts, wanted to be discovered. And I think we're living in times where you're going to have to discover yourself.
Yeah.
And thank God you can kind of like discover yourself. Either you find the place to do your show or to shoot your movie, or you learn how to use that camera. But just don't wait for anyone to come and say, you.
That's not how it happens.
That doesn't happen. Yeah. And it's great. And something, you're going to learn something along the way. Yeah. Maybe, and regardless of what it is that you learn, you're going to end up doing what it is that makes you happy. You're going to find maybe that career or another career or whatever the hell it is you're going to find in your journey. But just don't wait for anyone to pick you, because it really saddens me when you see people who've been in the business forever waiting for that, and it never came. And it was like, now.
Yeah, I mean, Olga Merides, who's a mutual friend of ours. Olga has done major motion pictures. She was in the Evita.
She played Madonna's sister.
Yeah.
Olga Merides was up for a Tony for her
role on
In the Heights.
In the Heights, and now she's on the new George Lopez comedy. So it's and you know, this is someone that we've known for 20 maybe years, and seen her career kind of like, you know, and certainly not someone who's like stopped working, because she's always working, and now here she is now taking a major role in a sitcom.
But Olga is also someone who is has a very broad view of her. I mean, here we are talking about her, Olga. I hope you're watching. No, but Olga she will not shy away from anything.
Right.
I mean, she's not at home waiting to get the phone call from like Tennessee
your point,
Williams,
yes,
you know.
yeah.
And she will do commercials, and she will do voiceovers, and she will do anything that it's part of the craft that she has developed, you know, on stage and on the screen.
And we're lucky in New York City that there is an avenue for this talent pool to really get their work out there, and especially such a cultural city. It's like I miss the fact that the New York International Latino Film Festival is no longer celebrated annually the way it was before, because that was really such a great venue for just really seeing the films that are coming from all over the country, and outside of the United States, because there really is such a great market for Latino films and directors that are making crossovers. I mean, look at Alfonso Cuarón, who's now for an Oscar for Gravity.
Yes.
And he is from where?
From Cuarón is Mexican.
That's
yes.
the one that's Mexican. See? Yes.
Well, you know, I mean, I swear to God, for many years, Sofia did soaps in Mexico.
She
so
did
there you go.
soaps in Mexico.
So you are
Yeah.
somehow
So
correct.
that's why
See?
it's okay. It's okay,
See?
baby.
That's, you know, Mexico.
Yes.
It's just such a big country. It's huge.
Mexico's huge.
Yeah, anything
Yeah.
you know past Texas is
Yeah.
kind of Mexico.
And
anyway.
and now he's up for an Oscar nomination. It was such a huge film, and that I think, I mean, that certainly, I mean, it's like, you know, for me as a Latin man, I have such great pride in the fact that here he is now being recognized, and we've known his work and followed his work for years, and known what a great talent he was, and now he is getting such mainstream recognition, and you know, that's pretty phenomenal.
Yes, it is. Yes,
Yeah.
indeed.
Yeah, so we continue to tell our stories and also encourage people. Is there a website that people can maybe, like, if they have a question or want to ask you something about you yourself, or want to, like, you know, if they have any kind of tidbits or may want to share something with you?
You're like, oh, nice to know. Do you know something? Facebook is a great thing. It's pathetic. I live my life on Facebook very openly. So, you know, anyone who likes this, who remembers who the hell I am.
Yeah. And Alberto has such an amazing amount of work to his credit, not only as a director and producer, but you've also written a book.
I got published in 2009 in 3 languages.
Right.
If anybody read a book called BS and Beauty, it's my novel. Or Belle Bella, or Una Fábula a Manhattan, it's Italian edition. No, it's great, and that is another one. Like, you know, you write a book and you're like, okay, let's turn it into a movie, and people ask me, so when is the movie coming out? I'm like, it's not
And
easy.
that book does read like a movie.
It reads like a movie, totally.
That book does read like a movie.
But you know
So
something?
you're doing the same thing you were just talking about that other actress doing. You have your hand in many pots.
Oh,
It's good.
Well, he's also written a song for Madonna.
What?
Yes. But this
I'm
is
just saying.
totally, yeah. Well, it was a translation.
To be fair.
Yeah.
No,
But
it still counts. Like, you don't have to say, oh, it's only.
Yeah,
It's
no,
only.
translation. No, but seriously, I mean, she wanted to tour with What It Feels Like for a Girl in Spanish, and they called me. There's a great story there.
I remember that day.
song.
I remember that day.
You do? Oh.
Yes.
Well, you know, the
front
little
door.
salsa number. I wrote the lyrics in Spanish for that, and it happened like overnight. I got a phone call at 11 p.m. and said, "Oh, could you translate the song?" I said, "Not really. I'm kind of tired. I'm going home." He's like, "No, listen, bitch. You are gonna translate this song." I'm like, really? Why? And then, of course, when they told me who it was for, I said, "Yeah, I'm gonna do it." And it was great because she had options. 3 different people translated the song and showed her their work, and she picked mine. She's
Good.
smart. She's
Yeah.
smart.
So he's had his hands in everything, and all the while really, I think, just educating and promoting, and really showing a lot of pride in what it is to really embrace your culture, because that happens.
You're impressive.
Well, because that happens. It's such a
And cute.
You know, as we're coming to the close, to the close of the show, I think that's something that is often compromised in entertainment. Someone's told, you know, don't be too Latino, or don't be too African American, or don't be too Jewish, and it's sort of like, are you kidding? It's like,
I had somebody tell me, you're too gay on stage.
Exactly.
was like, what the?
What am I
Tone down the
supposed to do
gay.
then?
They told you to tone
Yeah.
down the gay.
Too gay.
A little.
Yeah.
Interesting. Hey, thank you so much for sharing your specialness.
Thank you
on our
for
Thank
having
you
me.
for sharing.
And,
your
Sorry,
heart.
Alex. See what you missed?
Because this is the treat. This is when we can bring in friends and we can have such talent and share
I
think
just get inspired by every person that
Yeah.
comes in here.
we're very
It's-
lucky.
We are lucky.
We're very lucky.
You are.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And we'll
we're
definitely
so
we'll
lucky.
definitely keep our audience up to date on things that are coming up because you do have projects that are coming up. And if you want to go to our website and catch past episodes of Talking About, we're at www.talkingabout.info. And definitely thank you for joining us.
Gracias.
If you have any questions for the Sir, Alberto Ferreras, you can find him on Facebook. Don't bombard him, please. Send pictures.
Naked pictures.
I knew it. I knew you
we
were
had
gonna
to
go
go
there.
there.
I knew it.
Totally.
We should. I want to do that one day. I want to have a panel of and discuss sex.
Look at how you were just
I'm
like,
in. I'm totally in.
We have to do that. But we're coming to the end of the show, and we should. You've got a show coming up.
Friday, Valentine's Day, at the Pit, 9:30.
Yes.
Butt ski and glass cocks
Exact-
and your
and-
talent blowout.
Phenomenal. You can get your. Is there ticket information on your Facebook?
Yeah, it's $8, guys. Come on.
You can.
It'll be.
shut that.
Let's get weird. Come to the show.
And we'll have more for you next month on our coverage of RuPaul's Drag Race premiere for season 6, which is going to be awesome. Sorry you can't be there.
That was really sincere, guys, wasn't it?
We'll record everything for you. Hey, as we come to the end of the show, thank you so much for joining us again to all of our guests. And keep it real, keep it happening. I'm JC Alvarez.
I'm Cara Kilduff.
This is Talking About, and you can catch us here live every month, every second Tuesday of the month. And just go to our website, like I said, www.talkingabout.info.